Rope flow is an incredibly versatile tool with many benefits, such as promoting healthy joints and mobility, improving your coordination and your mental health and overall well-being. But did you know that it is also a fantastic way to train your cardio in a variety of ways to help level up your fitness? In this video, let's find out the best ways to achieve this. So because there is such a large amount of different training that we can do when it comes to cardio, first of all we need to break it down into the different forms of cardio that we can do with rope flow, and then we'll go from there. So your options are anaerobic or aerobic training when it comes to training your cardio with rope flow. Now, of course, the aerobic training is going to be more steady, slower paced movements which are going to go on for a prolonged period of time, and this sort of training is going to be suitable for anyone who is into endurance sports, any long distance sports such as running or swimming maybe, and those sorts of sports like that. But also pretty much any sport, athletic sport, will require a high aerobic base for the athlete, so a really important form of cardio to work. And then of course we've got the anaerobic style of training, which switches the body over to a different metabolism and produces lactate, and this of course is going to be more suitable for short, sharp bursts of energy, sports which require high intensity, high output for a short period of time, such as sprinting for example. You've got martial arts, and you've got a whole host of other sports which combine a little bit of the two, such as rugby. You know, you have to have an aerobic base to maintain the fitness throughout the whole match, but there are times when you need to really dig in and produce a lot of energy fast. So let's talk about aerobic training. What is the best way to train your aerobic system with rope flow? Here is a few options for you to try. Now, one thing I like to do is to do a freestyle flow whilst I'm trying to raise my heart rate over a prolonged period of time. This could be for 15 minutes if you're more of a beginner, but then working on to half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour sessions. And these are brilliant because they add a lot of variety. You can pretty much use whatever you want to in the workouts. You can keep them fresh, and you're just trying to raise your heart rate and your breathing a little bit, but you don't want to push it past that level where you feel the urge to start mouth breathing. So you want to try and keep it always nasal breathing throughout the whole exercise, and I'm going to talk more about nasal breathing in another video, so keep an eye out for that as well. Alternatively, what you can do is pick one exercise to drill for a prolonged period of time. Now, the benefit of this is it's going to really dial in your technique, and you're going to be able to perfect it a lot more, and it's going to have more of a carryover to whichever kind of biomechanics you're trying to tap into and improve. For example, if you're more of a runner, you can try the underhand alternating sneak. You can add marches in as well for that locomotive carryover. You've also got other exercises like the underhand figure eight, which is brilliant for this sort of thing. You've got matadors of the overhand and underhand versions, and also you've got of course your dragon rolls and everything else in between. Whichever exercise you want to choose, you can drill it. Now, if you're a beginner, I recommend just sticking to 10 minutes of work with one exercise, and then do that for a week, and the following week you can add 5 minutes onto your workout. Now, if you feel that kind of training is a little bit too rigid and you want a bit more variety, what you can try is this. If you pick a duration for your workout, so let's say half an hour, and then what you can do is just split that half an hour up into 5-minute blocks. So I might want to do overhand matadors for the first 5 minutes, then I'm going to switch over to underhand for the next 5 minutes, then I'll go into dragon roll, 5 minutes on my left, 5 minutes on my right, then I'll go into underhand alternating sneaks, and finish off with some figure eights. Now, this is brilliant because you've got the variety in there whilst also being able to dial in your technique and drill some specific patterns. Okay, so now let's talk about training the anaerobic system. Now, before you do any kind of anaerobic training, I must recommend that you do at least 10 minutes of aerobic workout first, just to raise your heart rate, get yourself prepared, and you're not going to injure yourself that way as well. I'm going to share with you two different protocols to train your anaerobic system, and they're often referred to as HIIT workouts, high intensity interval training. Now the first one is Tabata, and this is quite a popular form of workout whereby you perform 20 seconds of intense exercise followed by 10 seconds of active rest. You then repeat that 8 times to make up a round of 4 minutes. Now of course, according to your fitness levels, you can repeat those rounds as many times as you like, but for beginners, just start with the first round, see how you go, and then you can go from there. Now there are 2 main ways in which you can incorporate rope flow into this kind of protocol, and the first of them would be to pick one exercise and train that continuously throughout the whole round. So you could pick underhand figure eights, for example. You could do that intensely for 20 seconds, active rest for 10, then you're going to go back into the intense phase again, and you're just going to keep cycling through that for the one exercise. Then for the subsequent rounds, obviously you could pick a different exercise and train it that way. An alternative would be to pick one exercise for each of the 8 rounds that you do within the main round, the 4-minute round. So that could be overhand matadors, underhand matadors, dragon roll left, dragon roll right, alternating underhand sneak, bowler, cheater's tail, and meteor hammer, just to give you some examples. You're then going to complete an intense phase and an active rest phase for each of those exercises and complete as many rounds as you can. So I've actually made a Tabata style workout just like this, so I'll link you guys to that now and you can check that out on my YouTube channel. And one thing that I want to reiterate as well is that when we're doing the active rest phase, it is exactly that. We want to remain active. We don't just want to be standing around waiting for the next intense round, okay? This is going to have a carryover to certain sports which have that element of short, sharp bursts of energy, followed by a bit more of a rest phase where we're tapping into more of the aerobic system, and then we're going back at it again for another intense round, okay? So useful for sports like rugby, boxing, and that sort of thing. So just remember, keep yourself active, keep yourself moving, ready for that next intense round. Right, so moving on, we're now going to have a look at the Fartlek style of training, which is still a high intensity interval training style workout. However, it's a little bit different to Tabata in that the rest period is going to change as we're going through the workout. So one example of a Fartlek workout, which I'll give you, which you can go and try, would be to first of all warm yourself up with at least 10 minutes of light work. We're then going to do a 30-second round of intense work, okay? This could be any exercise you like which you find challenging. We'll talk more about that in a second. But then you're going to have for example, a 2-minute rest phase after your intense round. And then what you're going to do after that 2 minutes of active rest, you're then going to perform another 30 seconds of intense work. And each time you do that, you're going to take 15 seconds from your active rest phase. So then it's going to be 1 minute 45, and then 30 seconds of intense, 1 minute 30, and so on until you get down to 0, at which point we can then really challenge ourselves and do a final 1 minute burst of intense workout for the final part of the workout. So that's just one style of workout we can do. Another example would be, once we've warmed our body up, we could go into a 30-second intense round followed by 1 minute of active recovery. We'll then go into a minute of intense work, 2 minutes of active recovery, 2 minutes intense, 4 minutes active recovery, and so on for as long as you like. That's just another example that you can go and try. Now, how I would recommend that you train this style of workout would be to pick one exercise for your active recovery phase. Now, this could be any type of exercise which you don't find too challenging, such as figure eights, race and chase, could be a dragon roll, alternating underhand sneak, anything of that nature, okay? Then what we're going to do is pick an exercise for the intense phase of the workout. This could be something a little bit more challenging, such as dragon switches, or the bowler, or even meteor hammer, or something like that, okay? It doesn't really matter, it's totally up to you how you guys want to train it. So as we've seen, there's really a huge amount of variety when it comes to training your cardio with rope flow, and your exercise and protocol selection is really going to come down to what sports you're trying to tailor your training towards and how you want to train yourself in general. So if you're more of a runner, you might want to favour more underhand patterns which will mimic locomotion, such as the figure eight, alternating underhand sneak, for example, and you're also going to want to favour the more aerobic style training. Okay, if you're, for example, a tennis player, you might want to drill certain patterns which will help you in your sport, such as the ace pattern or more overhand patterns and that sort of thing, and your training is probably going to have a mix of aerobic and high intensity interval training in it as well. Likewise, if you're a boxer, you might want a mix of overhand and underhand patterns to mimic those punches what you can find in boxing, and your training is most likely going to comprise an aerobic and an anaerobic component to it as well. So just so you guys know, this video does have an accompanying blog post as well, which you can go and check out on the site, which is spiralflowropes.com, and there I'm going to list all the protocols for you, so it's all written out. You can go and download that if you like for your workouts, so you've got something to go off, and I'm going to go into more of the nitty gritty on there as well. So if you like that sort of thing, go and check it out on the site, and whilst you're there you can also sign up to the newsletter so you won't miss out on any news and announcements to do with the business, promotions as well that I'm running. So yeah, go and check that out on the site. And of course, if you like this style of video, please subscribe to the channel, leave us a like, and just let us know what you enjoyed in the comments, and I'll see you guys in another video. See you soon, guys.